I'll explain you through it. The first part will be the main documentation requirements for completing a MS application. That is the very first step. And you need to do that prerequisite check to make sure you have all the documentation requirements for completing the MS application. And the next I would like to speak about is about the GRE preparation and the TOEFL IELTS preparation. So it's either the IELTS or TOEFL requirement in the United States, and it depends upon the college and university. So the next thing that goes with the application packet is the statement of purpose. It's your story, your life story that you tell through your entire introduction, and then how you pursued your masters and how you pursued your bachelors and things like that. So I'll go into detail for that. Then there are three letter of recommendations needed. They may be from the college professors or from departments where you're working currently. Then I would walk you through the university shortlisting process, the factors that affect the cost of studying in the United States, the expenses that you need to keep in mind for the pre-departure, the education loan process, the estimated job salary after you complete your masters, then the education learning pattern in the United States and how it's different from the bachelor's that I did in India. Then the resume building and the cover letter process and how to apply for jobs and get a good job and also an internship while pursuing your masters. So I'll start with the first topic. So basically, this is a overview of my university. It's San Jose State University, founded in 1857, and it is the oldest university on the west coast of the United States. It has, according to statistics for 2019, it has houses more than 32,000 students in different fields and spreads over 152 acres. As you can see, it's a pretty long university. So this is on the left side is the gateway of the university, and then on the right side there's a recreation center. Then down it's the football ground, not the the soccer one, but the football, like the rugby one. And then there's the basketball stadium. So this is a general overview of my university. And then I'll move to the next slide. So these are the documentation requirements for the GRE for the application process. So the first one is the GRE scorecard. So this is important, and you need to submit your GRE scores while applying to the universities. Then there is the IELTS and TOEFL scorecards. You also need to submit your IELTS and TOEFL scores while applying to the universities. Then, as I talked about, the letter of recommendation, the statement of purpose that you need to have. Then there's university transcripts. So the official ones are the ones that are given by the Savitribai Phule Pune University, and they are sealed and packed in an envelope, and you need to have them, like there's a waiting period of about 60 days for ordering those transcripts. So you need to keep that into mind while processing that request. And the college transcripts are needed for by some universities. So these are the ones that are attested by the college and provided to you. So the next one is the resume. So you need to have a resume. If you have a work experience, that's good and fine. If you don't have a work experience, then you need to add your extracurricular activities or research publications or the internship that you did during your bachelor's. Then there are professional certifications and extracurricular achievements. Let's say you took part in the technical events going on in the college, or completed a professional certification while you are completing a bachelor's. So that's needed. Then you need to have the SSC and HSC mark sheet, passport copy. Passport is needed before you go into the GRE exam. So that's needed. You need to have a valid national ID for appearing for the GRE exam. You can book a date for the GRE exam, but passport is necessary. So that process won't consume your time. So plan that in advance also. So then there is affidavit of support. Basically, it's the co-applicant for the loan that needs to provide your affidavit of support that you're pursuing your master's and he's okay with that. Then there is solvency certificate. So there's a process called as I-20 that you receive when you get an admission into the college. And then you need to provide a statement of funds from the bank that you're capable of paying the fees needed during the 2 years term period for completing the masters. So I'll move to the next slide. So basically, there's a link on the left side. So it is the official website for GRE, and you can find all the documentation and all the exam related information into that. So I suggest you browse through that. So the total time for the GRE is basically 3 hours and 45 minutes. And I would like to advise you that if you are planning to take a GRE, then try to take tests that like the practice tests at the same time as you are giving your exam. So that will help in setting you into that environment. So talking about the sections. So there are 6 sections that are stated over here. The first one is the analytical writing section, which is broken up into 2 parts. The first part is analyzing an issue task, which is of 30 minutes. And the second part is analyzing an argument task. So these are basically some kind of essays that you need to complete. And there are a pool of issue topics and argument topics given on the website. That is, I have attached in the link to the left side. So you probably can refer to that afterwards. So the next section after the analytical section is the verbal reasoning section. So there are 2 sections for it, having 20 questions per section for 30 minutes each. Then you have the quantitative reasoning section, which is basically kind of a maths aptitude part, having 2 sections with 20 sections each. And then there is an unscored section, which comes anywhere between these 4 sections. So you may not know that if it is going to be scored or not. So you may have more than 2 sections for verbal reasoning or more than 2 sections for quant. So that's an unscored one, and that's a surprise that may be there in between these 4 sections. And the research one, that's also unscored, but that's typically at the end. And the difficulty level of the exam goes on increasing from simpler to difficult. So if one section comes simpler, the other one will be more difficult. So expect that on the exam as well. I'll move down to the next slide now. So this is the GRE, basically the GRE scoring scale. The score is valid for 5 years, so you can give it anytime, and then you have 5 years to report your scores. If you need to retake your GRE, that happens after every 21 days, and you can only retake it 5 times per rolling year. And the official score report takes about 10 to 15 days. Also, I would like to mention here, as I have stated, the fee waiver for application to 4 universities. So when you're applying to universities, there is a fee for sending the scores, as I mentioned before, both the GRE and the IELTS or TOEFL scores. So if you plan to send and select the universities in advance, like the 4 ones that you want application to be sent, then that fee will be waived. It's around $20 to $30 per score reporting. So probably $100 to $120 will be saved because of that. But I'm not sure if it's the same fee right now. So diving into the verbal reasoning section. So the scoring point, this is a scoring point. Basically, it's from 130 to 170. So as we said, there are 40 questions with 1 point increment. So 130 is a 0. So even if you appear for the exam and even if you do not take anything, you are going to get 130. So basically, that's from 130 to 170, similar to the quantitative reasoning section. And then there is analytical writing with a scale of 0 to 6. At least a scale of 3 is required to get a good GRE report. So the scoring criteria is basically one human reader checks the essays that I mentioned about the 2 topics earlier, and then there is a ETS scoring engine. And if there is a score which is similar to the one that the both have, then they average the score and you get a cumulative scale between 0 to 6. So that's the scoring criteria and the scale point average for analytical writing. Moving on to the next topic. So that was about GRE, and then we have IELTS exam, which is necessary for English proficiency. So there are basically two types of IELTS. The one we want to focus on is the one for the academic IELTS, and the general training one is for anyone who wants a work visa and wants to pursue abroad using that and needs a general training one. So the academic IELTS is scored on a band scale of 9. The band scale is I have mentioned a screenshot on the right side. So I think a minimum of 6 is required for most of the universities, but the current requirement you'll have to check into the websites of each university, and we'll go through that afterwards. So the total test time is 2 hours and 45 minutes. The bodies that are authorized for conducting the exams, there are two bodies basically, the British Council and the IDP. So both the scores are valid for these two bodies. Now I'll explain the sections that are included in the IELTS exam. So there are 4 sections basically: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. I'll move on to the next slide to explain the details. So the first section is listening, where you listen a conversation and you have 4 recordings of different scenarios. So these are conversation basically of native English speakers, and the time limit is 30 minutes. And then you have to listen, and then you have to answer the questions given in the paper format and the online, probably if they have option for the online format. Then there's a reading section having 40 questions with 3 long text paragraphs for generally in a technical background paragraphs that you can understand. The time limit is 60 minutes. Then there is general training reading section, also consisting of 40 questions, but it's similar to the one like we speak on daily basis, like the native English speaking environment. So that's also for 60 minutes. The next will be academic writing. You have 2 writing tasks timed for 60 minutes each. And then you have 2 general writing tasks timed for 60 minutes. The speaking section is oral interview between the test taker and the examiner. So all speaking tests are recorded. So the speaking section, you can take any 1 week before or 1 week after these 3 sections, like the before or after the listening, reading, and writing section. So that's a different part of exam that is broken down into like just one for the speaking before or after the main exam. So that you need to get prepared for that. And if you take the exam even for these authorized bodies for British Council and IDP, so they provide a free book to you where you can study, and they also have a CD attached for the listening section, so you can practice with that. And I think that is sufficient, and more material on the web is also available for that. So then if someone wants to take a TOEFL test for the same 4 sections, but it's just the only difference is that this test is multiple choice questions, and this test I'm not sure if it's used by all the universities even abroad except the United States. So I had taken IELTS exam. It also has 4 sections just like the one, and it is the time limit is for 3.5 hours or 3 hours. So the 4 sections are reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Just like reading the passages, and then the listening section, you have to listen to the recordings. And the speaking section, you have to speak into the microphone about the familiar topics, and then you have to read a passage and listen to the recording, and then write your response. But that's the section that is covered within 1 day. And then you have to get an option for IELTS where you give the speaking section at a different day. So that's another difference. Moving on. So the statement of purpose is needed for the application process. It is generally your story where you introduce yourself, how you got interested in a particular field. Let's say you wanted to pursue your 11th and 12th by science, and you want to take bachelor's in a particular field. Then you try to connect that with childhood memories. Let's say I'm from mechanical department, so you say that I already had a fascination for cars, and how they roll out and how the technology works. So something like that, of that sort, I would say. Then there's you have to mention a short paragraph about your school life, about the achievements. So let's say the grades that you got, or there are different exams, competitive exams that you participated in. Also, you can include, if you have exceptional 11th and 12 marks, you can include in that. And then that should motivate. So you should create it like a story, right? So that should also be included into your bachelor's, like how was your university life, the name of your college that you pursued your bachelor's, and the university it's affiliated to, the key courses you studied, and that's what should align with your master's program. Like the courses that you studied may or may not relate, but you should try to relate them more with the master's program, so they go with the flow. Then there's a final project in the bachelor's that you complete, so you can mention about that, the details about the project and things like that, the key features of the project, any kind of if it's a company related project, any kind of improvement that you did in the company, and the company manager appreciated your efforts for the project. Or let's say if you do a project, in-house project, and if it gets if you participate in some competition and you get selected for that, that's also a great achievement, right? So you can write about that in the project section. Moving on. So this is about the internships that you complete during the masters, so sorry, the bachelor's. So it also mentions about the company details, your role, any kind of work that you did that struck you out, and you gained skills to pursue your masters. So basically, you should align everything that goes on to, like, that motivated you to pursue your masters. I know it's kind of difficult, but try doing that, and then there can be many revisions. So the moving on, there are extracurricular activities, any kind of technical events that you participated in. We have technical events in our college, right? So you can add about that, where you're the coordinator or the head of IST or something like that. Then there are extracurricular activities and volunteer work. We have NSS camps hosted in the college, and if you are working after you graduate from your bachelor's, then you can mention about the key roles, responsibilities, and the exposure that you got in the work environment. And then there's a conclusion about what are your long-term goals after pursuing a master's, and a description about why you want to pursue this particular university. And the conclusion part will be a summary of everything in a one short paragraph. So basically, it's a story that you have to create in order to apply for a particular university, and that should align with the university program for which you are applying for. So that's basically the crux of the entire statement of purpose. Moving on to the letter of recommendation. So the letter of recommendation is basically professors whom you know, or your managers whom you know, and they know about your expertise and the skills that you have, and that are a benefit for the organization or the college. So these questions should be addressed in that. Let's say, starting from the first question: how do you know the candidate, as in what capacity? For how long do you know the candidate? For what all projects the candidate has handled. So we have a final project and we have a final project guide. So that project guide can be very helpful in filling this part for the question 3, and give also overall opinion about the candidate, how he has matured over the 4 years period, if you know a professor, right, starting from the first year to the 4th year. So that's also a fourth. That's what about the mentions about the 4th point. Then any kind of extraordinary characteristic or achievement, or why you, if you think, if the writer thinks that the candidate is eligible for pursuing the course, you should describe how effective the candidate is and compare the candidate achievements with his peers. So basically, you have to stand out from the crowd to basically create a letter of recommendation, because it's all about, like, everyone is preparing, and then you need to stand out and you need to showcase your skills and qualities in order to be qualified for taking admission into that university. So there are 3 letters of recommendations needed. So You can provide from any of them, as I said, like from the professors or from the work experience managers that you are reporting to. Moving on to the next slide. So we completed the application process. You gave your GRE exam, TOEFL or IELTS exam, prepared your statement of purpose and then letter of recommendation. Then you would start shortlisting the universities. So this is a simultaneous process. As you are completing your GRE and then IELTS, you would keep on shortlisting the universities that you want to pursue and then add on to that the letter of recommendation and statement of purpose. So you're on time and you don't fall short of the deadline. So basically, so the ones over here, like the links that I've stated below the university shortlisting section. So those are the links and the rankings according to the usnews.com. So they are basically based on the research publications, academics of that university, infrastructure, the notable alumni of that university, or a particular specialization course or a field that the university is known for. So I had created a list of safe universities as per my profile. So it's like profile building. You have your all GRE scores, TOEFL scores, then your undergraduate GPA, your internship records, certificates, extracurricular activities, achievements, and then you build a profile and then create a list of safe, achievable, and ambitious universities to apply to the United States. So this list is based on the first of all the ranking. As I said, it depends upon different aspects. Then the location. Location matters because you would like to go in the location where the companies are, right? Let's say I'm in the Silicon Valley, and most of the tech companies have their headquarters in the Silicon Valley. So somewhere from someone from computer or IT would definitely, or software would definitely like to come in the Silicon Valley and work for companies in the headquarters who have their headquarters over here, right? Also, weather conditions matter a lot because you don't want, if some people may not suit the freezing cold in the Midwest, so that's also aspect. The fee structure is another aspect where you have to look into the fee structure. So the fee structure depends upon the university rankings, then if the university is publicly funded or privately funded. Also, you may get scholarship based on your profile that you have created. So there are different factors of your profile that contribute to gaining scholarship and waiving of the fees. Let's say if it's a full payment or a partial payment. So that we'll talk about later. Also, the university coursework and prerequisite requirements. So about the university coursework, let's say you select a university and you want to pursue your master's, but you have to see their coursework, like if that aligns with what you want to pursue your master's in, if that is definitely what you want to make your career in, because one of the coursework will gain you exposure to the skill sets required for the job. So let's say you have 10 subjects and that one of the subject is the main subject that you may get job into, so that's also important. Also, some universities have prerequisite requirements that needed to be completed before completing the actual coursework. So you need to check for any prerequisite requirements, as they may add additional cost to your fee structure. Also, the neighborhood is important, as you may not want to select a university where crimes are happening everywhere and the place is not safe. Also, on the website, on the usnews.com, everything is given pretty well about the employment rate, acceptance rate, about the universities. Also, for universities, there are company partners who directly hire you into the job fair. Also, if you can find the batch size for a particular university, let's say if that's a small batch size, there are more opportunities for you to grow as there is less competition. So you can check the batch size aspect also. So the other point is purpose of studying masters. So you need to, if you want to search for research oriented universities, if you want to complete your PhD in the future, then you need to search for research universities. Or if the other option is if you want to work and gain some learning experience. I used to use an app called as YoKit. That is obviously not accurate, but because the student itself fills all the information and creates a profile and checks if that's in my range of safe, achievable, and ambitious universities. So try installing that app and then logging into that and see how many people or students have got admits or rejects, and also check the student's profile, like how was his GRE score, IELTS score, how was his undergraduate percentage, his entire academic record, I would say. Then we use Facebook and WhatsApp groups pretty often. But on Facebook and WhatsApp, there are groups for called as Fall and MS in US. As per the, let's say if it's 2020, then there is Fall 2020 and Spring 2020. Fall is basically admit for August, and Spring is essentially admit for January. So there are two seasons that have admits. Fall is August and Spring is January. Also, there are many people in these groups who post their profile, and then they mention about the universities that they got accepted and the universities that they have applied and got rejects. The other thing is networking through LinkedIn. So I would suggest you take the premium subscription and find alumni of that university that you have got admit to or you want to pursue your masters, and ask them about their experience. Check where they are from their profile and see how many people have got the job in that university for that particular master's field. Moving on. So the factors basically that affect the cost of studying in the United States is obviously the location. It depends upon where you are, whether you're on the East Coast or whether you're on the West Coast. The course duration. So if some courses for some universities are for 1.5 years, some are for 2 years. It depends upon the universities. As I mentioned about the scholarships that you get according to your profile, like the funding percentage as per the profile. I have seen some students who have got full scholarships and full fundings, having good profiles, and some have got partial scholarships. So you have to choose the best one. Necessarily, it shouldn't be like that should be the best one in the ranking, but if you have something that is ranked below the best ranking, but that is providing you scholarship, so I would suggest you go for the scholarships and look if there are jobs available in that area where you are, where that university is located. It also depends upon the accommodation, where you want to share your accommodation or you want to stay independent in a particular one-bedroom apartment, or if you want to share it with two people. Also, the living expenses matter. Where I'm staying, there are high living expenses. Whether if I go into the Midwest and into Michigan, Chicago, so there are living expenses are pretty less. So that depends upon the location. Also, so let's say you arrive in the United States and you need to find a job. So there are on-campus jobs available in I would say food malls, at food stalls at particular campus locations, and there are different job opportunities. So you need to proactively start looking for them when you arrive in the United States, and start networking with your seniors and take their help and see if there are job opportunities for on campus. So the another one is, before your internship is probably teaching assistant, a grader or research assistant. So teaching assistant is basically the one who is and grader are the one whom you have taken subjects under that professor, and then they want to be your then they want you to be your to grade other students and guide them. And the research assistant is the one whom you help the professor in putting together documents and helping in his research. Next would be, after completing certain courses and prerequisites, you are eligible for curriculum practical training. So you need to also take into account the internship aspect, as you should also work on getting an internship. I would say 6 months after you land, you start building your profile and then start revising your resume. There are dedicated career centers over here who can help you and guide you in that. And this is the minimum wage criteria for different locations, and this is the government website that I put together. You can have a look at it afterwards. Moving on. So before going, there are many pre-departure expenses, right? So the GRE exam fee, TOEFL exam fee, test preparation and counseling if you want external counselors to assist you. Then as I said, university transcript fee. Evaluation fee is something like university transcript, but that is needed by some universities, not all. Then you have university application fee for sending each application, and then you have DHL or the FedEx delivery partner application packet delivery free. Also scores that are reported for TOEFL or IELTS and GRE, they are also, you need to pay some fee for that. Then you complete that, then you have visa and service fees, and then you start packing your bags and flying expenses that need to be addressed. So I have an aspect covered about the education loan over here. So because the last slide shows about the fees, but then there's like, okay, but how to look for education loan and things like that. So basically it's a basic slide. So there are two types of loans: collateral, which is against property, liquid assets, shares, debentures, savings, and basically there are low interest rates for them if you approach nationalized banks. And if you do not have any kind of things, there are other options such as taking loan without collateral, which is called an unsecured loan. So that's based on your profile, the co-applicant who is sponsoring you, who is authorizing you, his profile or her profile, and it's basically upon your scores. And some finance agencies also have low interest rates for particular universities. So you need to check also into that aspect. The banks without collateral loan that I know of is HDFC Credila, Avance, Increed, and Auxilo. And the rate of interest varies as per how your profile is, how everything matches up. And the moratorium period is basically, let's say, it's not that you directly start paying your installments. So the moratorium period is 2.5 years basically. So you just pay the interest and you just don't pay the installment until 2.5 years. So it depends upon your sanction letter for how many years you have paid. Also, the margin amount is something that is paid by you, and the loan sanction amount is the one that is sanctioned by the bank. So that also depends upon the type of loan that you take, and the margin amount varies, right? So you have to check that also. Also, let's say if you get a job early on, and you need to think of paying back before the loan term period. So there are early repayment charges by some banks. So you also need to look that into your sanction letter. And the processing fee for the bank, that depends upon the bank, and also the processing fee. If the loan is not sanctioned, they return you the processing fee. If the loan is sanctioned, they return you the processing fee. And if it's not sanctioned, then they take the processing fee. So that's also another thing that is required. Next part. So talking about the job salaries after the market, this is just a rough estimate. I would say the upper and lower limit. So have a look at it, and then they have attached two websites that have median and mean salaries according to locations. So low salary at a different location will also end up in a low cost of living. So, and low taxes also, right? So you have to take that thing also into account, like and check on that. So these are basically the salary ranges. I'll move on to the next slide. This is just for the reference. So moving on, this is about the education learning pattern in the United States. So what happens is that this is more focused on conceptual learning rather than preparing at the end moment. It starts from day one. So if you lose focus in the class, you will not catch up for the next class. and then that sequence goes on, and then you have problems in like in giving answers or answering questions for the finals or the midterms. So you need to be aware from day one and start studying from that period. So this is, so it basically consists of 4 semesters, duration 4 months basically. Like let's say fall 2020 will start from August and will end in December. Then there is break for 1 month. Then again spring will start late January, and there will end in May first or second week. And then again there is break for 1 or 2, 3 months. That's called a summer break. So the credit system, how it's calculated, the total credits, including the project and thesis, is 30 credits. A single subject is of 3 credits. And basically there are 10 subjects, I would say. And the minimum requirement for international student at my college was 9 credits per semester. Like you have to take 3 subjects, that's compulsory to maintain status. Also there are prerequisites, as I said, if any, and you have to check on that. You have to complete that in the first semester if you have any stated on your admit letter. The scoring criteria is the same, based on a GPA of out of 4, and you need to. My university had a requirement of a minimum GPA of 3 over the entire degree coursework. The scoring pattern and the percentile weightage for, let's say you take a subject, and the scoring pattern is you have weekly homework assignments that you have to complete, and these assignments are difficult to crack sometimes, or they may be easy, but these assignments cannot be copied from someone else, and you have to do your own homework, or there is a plagiarism tracker that is fitted, so you have to do your own work and start working hard. So you have to complete those weekly assignments. Even it's the same for the weekly in-class exercises and random quizzes, and they have a project based on the coursework that you have taken and the subject that you have taken, and you have to implement the theories taught in the subject into that project. And you may have 1 or 2 midterms in between, and then a final exam. So that's weightage different according to different professor, but it's according, let's say 15%, 20%, 25, 20, 15, 20, something like that. That adds up to your overall 100%, and then that is calculated out of 4 GPA, and then you get that percent. Then you get that GPA basically out of 4, I would say. Moving on. So you arrive in the United States, and yeah, so before that I would say after you finalize all your documents and you have a firm admit, you have to go for a visa process. I have not included a visa process because I do not know the current visa process because of the situation, but you have to give a visa interview at the US consulate in Mumbai, and with that interview your visa will be accepted or rejected. It depends upon how you show yourself and how you present yourself and your profile, obviously. But after that you have to, when you land, it's the on-campus fees may be high for some universities where you want to live, so you may want to form groups beforehand for the same people coming into the same university for the same program, and coordinate your activities with them through Facebook or WhatsApp, form a group and search for, if you're living off campus, search and talk with them and prepare like a list of roommates that you're going to stay together if you're staying in a sharing accommodation, because that helps, because after you come here you don't find roommates immediately, so you need to do that process in advance before coming into the United States. That's really helpful. So as you land in the United States, you settle, you start attending classes, and then there is a dedicated career center. So I would say you visit the career center for resume building and for building a cover letter. So basically basically the resume is just a 1-page resume which has these resume sections: the education, let's say the bachelor's and the master's you're pursuing, the technical skills and competence that you have, let's say the software skills and the skills that you have learned in your bachelor's or during your internship experience, or other kind of soft skills. The certifications, like the professional certification that you have, work experience that you enumerate your tasks and accomplishments, including the name of the organization and the position of responsibility, the projects that you performed in your final year or you will be doing as you go through and take every subject. You will be doing projects, so you will add to that. That would build your profile and resume for getting an internship. And you also would like to add your extracurricular activities. Let's say you are actively involved in some kind of event that is important, and that shows your managerial qualities and your management experience, that you can handle difficult situations very well and you can manage time and deadlines. So that's also good to have in that. And then there are research publications, which is optional. So cover letter is basically your introduction. When you apply for a job, it basically states in the first paragraph the statement of intent, like why you are pursuing a master's in this field, why are you really interested in this job. Then the second is the summary of qualification. The second paragraph is the description of unique skill sets and experience that you have. The third paragraph is the ending paragraph, which is a short conclusion, I would say, of the above two paragraphs. And then you should present yourself, that why you stand and what skills you have that make you stand out from other candidates. So this is basically the cover letter introduction. So now we are into our second semester, and it depends upon all universities. As I said, like my university had may allow do internship only after 2 semesters. So probably some universities may allow it after first semester. I'm not sure about that, but I think it is after every 2 semesters you need to apply. You can apply, basically you are eligible to apply after you complete 2 semesters and take a particular course workload and complete that requirement. So beforehand, I would suggest you building a resume and cover letter, so that would keep you a bit more proactive and ahead of everyone, and that would really help you in getting an internship, which will help you in paying your loans or manage your at least daily expenses. So the job interview process, there are two ways. You apply a job through the online system, and there is a ATS tracking system that sees your skills and matches it with the job description, the experience that is required, or any other kind of things that are there in the job description, and then matches them. Basically, it's a computer performing the work. So you need to have those skills that are aligning to the job description, so that your computer, that the ATS tracking system basically screens your resume and takes it and gives it to the recruiter. Or the other part is a referral, where, as I said, you network through LinkedIn, and then people currently working in that organization provide you a referral, which makes you your resume visible directly to the recruiter instead of going through the application tracking system. So that's a one step easier. So try to find your seniors or friends and try to network with people in different companies. I would say that is the best option to get a good job. And these are some websites. There are more, essentially there are more, but these are main 2 or 3 websites where you can apply for jobs and apply for the jobs which have been posted at the earliest date. So that helps in also, like many can, if a job is 15-20 days old, that person might also have, the recruiter might also have completed the application process and hiring process for that job. So apply from the earliest date. You can also apply directly on the company website. You have some companies in mind and you want to apply to that particular companies, like other companies which are there in the Bay Area over here. So you might apply and check the company's website and follow them. Also, my university had an internal university job portal where different companies used to post jobs. Some universities also have that internal university job portal. I think many have that. So it's different for different universities. Also, you need to make a list of companies who are sponsoring your H1B visa. So the visa that you get is F1 student visa, and if you are in a STEM OPT, STEM extension science program, so basically you study for 2 years and you have another 3 years to work over there before your F1 visa expires. So in those 3 years, you need to have a H1B visa if you want to work for more 3 years, excluding those 5 years. So you have, and the H1B process is a lucky draw system. So you have 3 attempts basically to apply after you graduate, and then you get a job, and then you apply into the 3 chances that you have, and then you get selected, and then your visa status changes, and then you can work for more 3 years basically. But without H1B visa, you can essentially work for 3 more years after you graduate. Let's say if the program is for 2 years. So basically the interview steps, those are for the full-time jobs, but for internship, the some of the companies also do not need so much experience. They just see your projects and skills, and if they align with the work, and if they find you eager to learn, and if they think that you have a lot of energy and enthusiasm, and you would be a good fit to the role, they hire you directly. So I'll talk about the interview steps. So basically, normal interview is for 30 to 45 minutes. The first is the screening interview for the HR recruiter, which calls and just asks you general questions about your resume to check if what's written in the resume is uh, answerable. You're answerable to that, and that is exactly what they are looking for to find if it's true or not. Then after you complete your screening, there's technical screening round by any person of the organization, or if it may be a questionnaire sent to you that they judge and assess your technical aptitude in that field. Then you have one interview with the hiring manager or the director, and then you have interview with the team managers of different departments that you may be working in or interacting with. You may also have an interview with the team member that is performing the similar work for the similar position that you are applying for or that you are interviewing for. So these are basically 5-6 interviews for a full-time job. So you need to prepare in advance for that. So there is also a trick to prepare those interviews. And I would go to the next slide. So yes, so what the interviewer is judging is basically judging your analytical thinking, how you analyze the situation, how you find problem, and how you identify the problem, and find a good solution to the problem. So, and they see if you are good in communication, if you can work in a team. They check for a team environment, if you are good in a team environment, and if you have a positive attitude, and if you are ready to work hard. So these are the various types of questions. Let's say they say, may ask you why you're interested in this company, why a particular role, what is your biggest accomplishment, and they give you situational questions like, tell me a time when you had to meet a tight deadline or handle multiple projects. So they assess your ability to assess your basically what skills you have in project management, and how you can work in under pressure. Also, they would see if there was any kind of situation where you exceeded your team's expectation in the past. Also, they would ask you your long-term goals, right? They want you to stay in the company, so they would ask you what you aspire to be, and how you plan to grow. Then they would, so let's say there is a question called as, tell me a time when you failed or made a mistake. So they don't want to know your failure. Basically, they want to know that how you overcome that failure, or how you corrected that mistake and found out a solution that was effective and good. So this is basically the questions, general questions that are asked by interviewers, and the answers is basically a format that is followed. If you type STAR method, it's called situation, task, action, result. So the situation is the current situation that the company, current situation or problem that the company is facing. The task is the one that is assigned to you, and how your approach should be to that you find different kind of approaches to the problem. So finding different kind of approaches, and then you zero in onto one task, and you take action for that task to be completed. And when you implement that task, you have some improvement. You have some quantifiable measures, not only qualitative, but you have some quantifiable measure. Let's say cost reduction, efficiency improvement, downtime reduction, cycle time improvement, something things like that in my field. So that's quantifiable measures that you have, and that you need to frame your answer as per this method, so that our interviewer expects that he has prepared and given a good answer and has the ability to work at the particular organization. So I think that's it from my side. Also, I'll talk about the current situation. If you would ask before, I know there will be some questions about the current situation and job scenario, how it is going to be. I would say that the current situation is difficult because of unprecedented times and difficult situation caused due to COVID-19 crisis. But I would say that companies are slowly starting, but there is not a full start as many people are working from home. So I would suggest you to take this time and gain some more experience after you graduate, or gain some internship experience after you graduate. That would help in building the profile. And if you have already worked in that domain, I would say you fix a master's field that you want to do your specialization in. And if you have fixed that field, then you plan to work in that domain in India and gain some experience, and that will be helpful to get your internship easily, and then you can get into big companies like that. I've seen many of my friends doing that who have work experience, and that work experience has proved to be helpful in getting an internship, which also counts. These internships also count in getting a full-time job, right? So my experience was different. I didn't have any kind of work experience, but I had to work more hard to gain those skill sets required for internship. And as I started my internship, I completed one internship. Then I was offered another internship at the same company. Then I switched gears to another company for completing a third internship, and then I landed a job based on my internship experience and my skill sets. So I would say start building your profile early on. I know I was also of the same. I also had the same feeling that this is not the time, but you never know when is the time, and you need to start preparing and be ahead of the competition. So I'll stop, and I'll address any questions and answers if you have.
Thank you, Ajinkya.
Yeah,
Really,
given that-
your presentation, your slides were very good and self-explanatory. Hope our juniors will definitely took the advantage of this webinar. And over to audience, if there is any questions,
Yes, sir.
yes, go ahead.
Ajinkya sir, I just want to ask something. If there is no funding issues or there is no education funding issues, is going for a top-notch university or top university, is it worth it? Because most of those top universities has the affiliation with those top industries which are performing great research and their intellectual work, which is actually helpful for growing, even though it is a part of internship or part-time jobs or a temporary job. Is it worth going for top-notch universities?
May I know your name? I cannot see the screen.
Well, it's Abhishek Arote.
Hi, Abhishek. That's a great question. So I would like to address that. So going for the top-notch university, if funding is not a problem, that's what your question is, right? If you don't have any problem in funding, you can pay the huge amount of fees for going for, like, top-notch universities have good fees, so you're able to pay that, right? So,
Yes,
and
sir.
then yeah. So yeah, that's a good point. And yes, companies do select and do have career partners that are there in the job fairs, and they just select you on based on the reputation and the alumni that are there in their company and whom they are associated with. So they definitely you have an upper edge if you are in the top notch university, and if funding is not a criteria for you, then definitely that's going to be a good opportunity to get you into a good company, because many of the companies, there are some companies who also select candidates from top notch universities. I have seen many of some of my friends who have done their MBAs from Ivy League colleges and have got into good companies, because they tend to hire some candidates from the Ivy League colleges. So if you are talking about that, definitely yes.
Thank you. Just one another question. Actually, I was going to ask some series of questions, but your presentation was quite thorough. That
You can, yeah.
yes, the SOP you mentioned, when the admission officer is checking our profiles, is the SOP is only thing that is going to get us into those universities? And when there are lots of student applying for universities, lots of student has lots of things done that we haven't done in our education system, because of the lack of our education system. Does the statement of purpose, having a fluent line or some storytelling which is constructed really well, does that help to get an upper edge in all those situations?
So about the about the statement of purpose, I would say the storytelling that you are saying, let's say, because of the education system and exposure. But I would say, Abhishek, once again, exposure is like what I saw. I went to Savitribai Phule Pune University's website. I saw their curriculum coursework. They have pretty good design structure. But it's me also that who used to use easy solutions during the exams before the exams, and then study for the time being, right? So if you try to, while even during your bachelor's, I would suggest if you try understanding things conceptually, and there are like now we have got internet and everything, technology is moving very fast, so you need to you can, there are many videos available on YouTube where you can understand a particular concept. There are many documents supporting it. Also, moving on to the SOP. So that's what I said. If that's your weak point, you need to create a story by somehow gaining internship experience. I know I did an internship at Cybernetic Technologies for a period of 1 month, and that was compulsory in the third year by the college. So I don't know if it's still there, but that's a good thing, right? So if college is making you do internship compulsorily, and and at that moment I felt like why this is needed, but I know now that this is very important and this adds to your profile. So you can mention about your internship experience even after you work over here. You can mention about that. The coursework that is structured is should align with your master's degree coursework, right? So it if it aligns with that, and then you can justify, then you are good with their good story, right?
Yes.
And about the other aspect that you said is there are many candidates applying, right? So let's say if someone has a GRE score of 305 and the other person has a GRE score of 305. They have similar scores, so they have logged down, right? So now the university screening person will look into your other aspects such as internships, job experience, extracurricular activities, certificates, GPA. It's your combination, I would say, that would make that will make your profile very strong. So let's say if you're short on something, or if you're weak on your GPA, you compensate that by gaining work experience, or like getting a certification. Does that
In
answer
the
your
end, it
question?
will only give the upper edge, right?
Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes, sure. It was a great answer. I got to learn so many things, and I think that all concludes to, even if we are lacking somewhere, we can gain upper edge by something doing other than just the GPA. or
Yeah,
just
so I would
internships
say
or any other things?
I would take this moment. I was liking a bit in the in the GPA part, but I made my other portions very strong. I saw how the trend is, like how the tricks are to build a good profile, and then I basically it's kind of you have to do your homework very well, because it's not a joke. Like, let's say I was very like I said, like, let's go to the United States. It's going to be easy. All the coursework is it's the grading system. That's what I heard. Yeah, but that's the other part of life. The other part is like you have weekly homeworks, you have assignments that are due. You need to understand conceptually and then follow along. If you don't follow along, then you have problems in scoring good marks.
Thank you, Jinkar. That was really great help of you, and we're really honored to have you as our alumni. Thank you.
Yeah, no
That's all.
worries. I'm also thank you for giving me this opportunity to uh, present this seminar. And if you have any questions, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask.
That how you prepare at yourself, get ready with IELTS. Can you tell our students how to prepare for IELTS exam?
Yes, for IELTS exam, you register for IELTS exam, and I think that is not a very hard exam to crack. So basically, both British Council and IDP provide you books. So that is what I studied. They provide you books free of cost, and they even have a CD that they provide you for the listening section. So if you practice that and give your IELTS exam, then that will be good. I also refer to YouTube. There are many YouTubers who have IELTS questions uh, that are helpful. I also watched many Hollywood movies without subtitles to get to listen properly and to have that accent and to catch up that accent basically. That is you can do. You can start watching English channels. You can start reading English newspapers. That would definitely help you improve in the long run.
Thank you, Ajinkya. Audience,
Basically, yes,
audience, any more questions?
Yes, sir. Hello?
yes.
Hello,
Yeah, no, who is
Ajinkya.
this?
Yes, yes.
Am I audible?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.